Welcome back. So I have some really good news today on two different fronts, so I can't wait to share it with you. But if you're new to this channel, I'm just updating you on my identical twin pregnancy. I'm 27 weeks and 5 days right now, and it's been eventful this past week. For some reason or another, I have been at the hospital every day, so there's been a lot going on. But I'm going to try to make this short and sweet because the news is good. I don't really want to relive all of it anymore, and I just want to live in the fact that pretty much everything's okay. But the two things I'm going to cover in terms of the pregnancy and my health are twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome and preeclampsia. So there was a suspicion that the boys were developing twin-to-twin, which is a syndrome essentially where one of the babies starts taking all the good stuff from the other and growing faster. It's a treatable condition. It's not desirable, but it's treatable and would have been fine. Last time we went in for an ultrasound, the doctor thought that maybe because there was extra fluid around one of the babies and the blood supply to their brains looked different, she thought that maybe they were starting to develop twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. So I have been waiting on pins and needles this past week to find out what's going on in there, boys. Like, is somebody being a hog in there? Because can't have that. No hogging, no stealing. But I didn't know what was going on, and nothing was going on. They don't have twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. They ruled it out. So she pretty much just said that the extra fluid could be normal. And their blood supply to everything looked normal. And one baby is bigger than the other, but they're both still in a normal range. And the thing I'm going to end on with the twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome situation is that she said usually, most often, twin-to-twin shows up between 16 and 24 weeks. You would have had some kind of an abnormal read on another ultrasound where they would have monitored that and followed that, and it gradually develops. She kind of made me feel like I was in a safe zone with how far along I am, that it wouldn't just all of a sudden spontaneously develop as you're going into your third trimester. So, good news. No twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. They looked fine, perfectly healthy, and the only news we really did get confirmed was that baby B, Gabriel, does in fact have 2 clubbed feet, which I just think is so cute, and they're just totally inverted, and that'll be fixable and treatable, and it's perfectly fine. Just makes him all the more adorable. Moving on to my diagnosis of preeclampsia that I received earlier this week. If you've been following along, you will know that I was admitted to the hospital to monitor me for preeclampsia. When I left, I was given the diagnosis of preeclampsia without severe features. So, from my understanding, I had met the diagnostic criteria of preeclampsia, which were the protein levels in my urine were high enough to qualify me, and my blood pressure had been elevated enough across a 24-hour period that I met the baseline for preeclampsia. But I wasn't showing any severe features, and severe features were things that they told me to look out for, like upper right rib pain, headache that doesn't go away with Tylenol, swelling in the hands and feet, changes in your vision, high blood pressure of 160 over 110. Those are all severe features. I hadn't been having any of those, but they said to be on the lookout for them when I was discharged from the hospital. So I came home and I was noticing, as soon as I got home, floaters in my vision constantly, like I wasn't having before, and I have them now all the time. I didn't want to blow it out of proportion. I thought maybe I'm just tired. That can happen, like when you're too tired and you have the floaters. Let me just give it a day, I thought. So I gave it a day, still had them, woke up 2 days later and I was still seeing floaters everywhere. And that was one of the things that they told me to look out for with my diagnosis of preeclampsia. So I called them. I knew they were going to make me come in. I came in. I gave another urine sample. They drew another set of labs. And guess what? I don't even meet the criteria for preeclampsia in the first place. Yeah, like what? So here's what happened. The doctor came in and said to me, Ellen, I think something was misentered or wrong or a major fluke with the protein in your urine that got you admitted to the hospital in the first place, because things aren't lining up. And I'm going to read you the numbers in case you're in like a similar situation and you're kind of curious about yourself too. But I gave a urine sample first on Sunday that got me admitted to the hospital, and my ratio of protein and creatinine, could be saying it wrong. The standard range is 0.00 to 0.19. And what they found on Sunday was my ratio was 0.6. And the diagnostic criteria for that ratio is anything above a 0.3 qualifies you for preeclampsia. So that's why I was admitted. 0.3 is their cutoff. I was 0.6. They admitted me, did the 24-hour urine sample, and here's what they found. So the normal range for a 24-hour urine sample is 0 to 100. My value was 216 milligrams. But for a 24-hour urine sample, they look for the cutoff of 300 milligrams in 24 hours. And I had 216. So when I left the hospital, the nurse knew I was kind of eager to get out, and I was like, am I able to go home? She said, yep, we're letting you go home. I said, well, what about the results of the 24-hour urine sample? She said, oh, let me just check. Oh, and she looked at it and she said, it does look like your numbers are elevated. So that would mean you have the diagnosis of preeclampsia without severe features. But I never actually talked to a doctor. She just told me that. So I was kind of going off of the fact that she just kind of told me that diagnosis. Anyway, but when I went back, when I saw the spots in my vision, and then they took another urine sample that day, and the doctor was considering the results of my 24-hour urine results, my second urine sample that I gave was elevated from my original baseline. This is getting so complicated, but maybe you can just skip through if you're not interested. But if you are, my baseline protein was like 0.17, which was in the normal range, and the sample that I gave the day I came in with the floaters was 0.22. So it had elevated from my baseline, but it still didn't reach that diagnostic number of 0.3, which is the preeclampsia ratio of protein to creatinine, whatever. So all that to say, I had been given the diagnosis, but it was by a nurse who I think just knew I wanted to get out of the hospital. And so she just kind of told me I had preeclampsia without severe features and to look out for severe features. Come to find out, this doctor's saying, you don't even meet our criteria. So I don't have preeclampsia either. She did make me think that there is still a chance, since my numbers are creeping in the upward direction, that I might still develop it, and not to be surprised if that happens. But at this point, I don't even have it. And she said that the floaters in my vision could be due to a lot of things. Sleep deprivation, worry, hormonal changes, positioning of the babies. Like, it could be a whole lot of crap going on with my eyes, but she did say, you know, pay attention to it. If it gets worse, let us know. But for now, all I have a diagnosis of is chronic hypertension. So pre-pregnancy, I always had low blood pressure, but apparently what makes it chronic hypertension is the fact that before I was 20 weeks along, I had a couple of high blood pressure reads, which makes it chronic rather than just gestational hypertension. So because of that diagnosis that isn't going away, and she assured me of that I will permanently have that diagnosis of chronic hypertension, I still have to deliver no later than 37 weeks, which is November 11th. So that date and that news that I got still is true. But I don't have preeclampsia right now. The boys don't have twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. And I feel like we've dodged every bullet possible. Like last week, I thought I might have diabetes because the results of my gestational diabetes screen were elevated. I go in for the full test, I don't have it. I go into the hospital, think I might have preeclampsia. I'm given the diagnosis of preeclampsia, come back, only to find out I actually don't have it. And the babies, I was worried sick that they were gonna have twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, and we dodged that bullet. So, all good news with this pregnancy so far. And you know, it was kind of like a nuisance going to the hospital so frequently, but with every visit that I was there and everything that I went through, I learned something at every single appointment. And I think the takeaway is be really in tune with your symptoms. Let them know when you're seeing anything, because you're going to get answers when you go to the doctor, and it's going to give you a better picture of your health overall and the baby's health. So I kind of like would feel like, you know, am I overreacting? Like, should I really even go in? And every single time I've gone in, I've been really grateful that I did, because I got some kind of answers every single time. So anyway, I'm out of breath, my back hurts, and I'm gonna go. But that was it for today. All good news. That's all. So I'll be back on Monday with another video, but thank you for following along. I hope maybe this was helpful to somebody out there who might have a similar situation going on. Anyway, yeah, have a great weekend, and I'll see you on Monday. Bye.